Afternoon. Welcome to Church of Our Lord. And on behalf of the wardens and the trustees of our church, we welcome you to our 150th anniversary open house. My name is Rob Zoe, and I'm the rector here, the senior pastor. And this short program will be live streamed until 2 o'clock. So if you're concerned about your personal privacy, there is a feed happening in the church hall as well, if that suits you better. We also have incredible homemade squares and coffee and tea in the hall. Don't go yet. There are lots over there, and there'll be lots waiting for you after. So as soon as the program finishes, look around at the historical displays and the artifacts, and also please do enjoy some hospitality in the hall. A special welcome to some special guests today. Several direct descendants of Edward and Mary Cridge are here. We're really glad you've joined us, some coming all the way from snowy Ontario, so welcome. I want to thank our volunteers who've worked so hard to organize today's events, and the musicians. Everybody have put in hours and hours of planning and creating this program and choosing historical items for display. I also want to thank the volunteers and the tradespeople who have worked so hard to fix up our heritage buildings. I was looking for many words to describe it, and they all start with R-E. They have rebuilt, repainted, repoured, repaired, and repointed, all with the goal of preserving Church of Our Lord for future generations. This restoration has been done not to celebrate ourselves, but to glorify God, the God who's called us to follow Jesus and to serve him among all people. And we're really glad that this church will continue to do this for generations to come as we serve others through outreach and worship God and make disciples. That is our task here in Victoria. Finally, extra special thanks to Catherine and all the team at the Victoria Civic Heritage Trust. Their financial support and encouragement as we've undertaken this restoration has been invaluable. So we hope you enjoy our open house, and let's sing our opening hymn.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us to celebrate this church's 150 years of active service in the city of Victoria. My name is Mary Cridge. I was here on January 16th, 1876, when my husband, the Reverend Edward Cridge, opened the doors of this church for the very first time. Although my dear husband is unable to join us today, I'm very pleased to share some of my memories of our early days together in ministry. And if Edward were here, he would say it was all to the glory of God. It was a love story that brought us to Victoria. In the early 1850s, Edward and I met in a small village near London, England, where he was a Church of England rector. We became close friends. In 1854, when Edward accepted a position as chaplain with the Hudson's Bay Company, he proposed to me, and I accepted. We married right away, and 6 days later, we stepped aboard the Marquis of Bute, our sailing ship, bound for the Pacific coast. It was a 6-month sea voyage. That honeymoon adventure began over 50 years of marriage, spanning 2 centuries. We saw our love as part of God's greater love for all of us. On April 1st, 1855, we finally sailed into the Fort Victoria harbor. We were astonished to see many canoes filled with the indigenous peoples approaching our ship. It was our first encounter with the Lekwungen-speaking people, now known as the Songhees. We saw their village and smelt their cook fire smoke. The Songhees people had been living, harvesting, fishing, hunting, and trading in the area since time immemorial. Then we saw the old fort for the first time. It had tall wooden palisades like matchsticks standing in a row. Inside the fort were rough 1- and 2-story log buildings. Animals seemed to roam everywhere. We could make out a few small buildings in the clearing outside the fort, and in the distance, all we could see was dense forest. It was very different from England. Then we noticed a stocky, strong-looking man striding down the wharf to meet us. It was James Douglas. He was chief factor of the Hudson's Bay Company and governor of the colony of Vancouver Island. It was his decision to hire Edward that led us here. We knew this rough fur trading post would be our home for at least a year, but we were thrilled to be here. We settled in, feeling honored and called to make a contribution. Life in early Victoria was a time before telephones, even before telegraph service. It took a year or more to get an answer to a letter sent from the fort to England. There were no roads or rail lines. We had no school or hospital. When disease struck, it was devastating. We all suffered. In our family, we lost 4 children out of 9 due to a severe form of measles. On average, most people lived only 50 years. When we first arrived, there were only around 400 settlers in and around the fort. It was estimated that in the Columbia District of the Hudson's Bay Company, the number of indigenous peoples was approximately 26,000. Tragically, the population of indigenous peoples declined rapidly over the next few decades due to contact with European diseases like smallpox. Other pioneers who came before us included the Roman Catholic Bishop Modeste Demers, along with his missionaries. Bishop Demers became a long-term friend and advisor to James Douglas. As time passed, many ethnic groups arrived. I remember the Scots, Irish, Welsh, Haida, Tlingit, Métis, Cree, even a few Hawaiians and Mexican people, drawn by company trading opportunities. The Chinese people began to come at the height of the 1858 Fraser River Gold Rush. It was truly a multicultural society, but the different ethnic groups tended to stick to themselves. Speaking of Sir James Douglas, he may have seemed stern and austere, a strong-willed man of principle, but we saw him as a devoted family man and a devout Christian. He regularly attended this church. Every Sunday, James and his family sat up front. In fact, there's a plaque in his family's pew commemorating his contributions to this faith community. James Douglas was anti-racist, a view that Edward and I strongly shared. We welcome people of all backgrounds to sit in any of our pews in all our services. James Douglas himself was a person of mixed racial background. His father was a Scot and his mother West Indian. He promoted racial equality and tried to establish a tradition of acceptance and tolerance in our growing city. It was neither easy nor perfect. James Douglas also made a contribution to the development of BC. He's known as the father of British Columbia. Among other reasons, it was because of his involvement in the Fraser River Gold Rush. With the 1858 mass migration of 30,000 gold miners from the US flooding into Victoria and onto the Fraser River, James Douglas stood in the gap. He went over to the Fraser. He enforced early BC policies with respect to people, land, and the law. Despite the chaos, he brought order which prevented the racial discrimination and warfare prevalent in the US at the time. Effectively, James Douglas kept what would become British Columbia from the threat of American annexation. There would be no BC today as we know it without James Douglas. In our early years in Victoria, a troubling problem emerged. We began to notice numbers of homeless children aged 6 to 14 wandering the muddy streets. They were orphans. Their mothers had died due to childbirth or illness. Some had been abandoned when their fathers left for the gold fields. To begin with, women of several congregations took these children into our own homes, but the problem was increasing. We ladies decided an orphanage was the best solution. A new large orphanage was made possible by the generous bequest of John Taylor. John Taylor was a retired policeman and former gold miner. He left his entire fortune to the home. We were able to purchase a large piece of property on Hillside Avenue and built the BC Protestant Orphans Home. This building stands today and is now known as the Cridge Center for the Family. It offers many social services to all age groups. Over the years, Edward and I were honored to participate in the development of other social services. Edward served as the first superintendent of public education. He was concerned that girls of all backgrounds should be able to access education equally alongside the boys. With Dr. John Sebastian Helmken, we worked on the initiative that led to the creation of the Royal Jubilee Hospital. We ladies of the congregation were particularly concerned about the need for perinatal care. We worked together to ensure safer deliveries to counter the very high infant mortality rate. Edward and I were honored to worship at our Lord's Church with many people of vision for the city, the province, and even the new nation of Canada. For example, our Dr. Helmken played a prominent role in bringing BC into Canadian Confederation. He was the founding president of the British Columbia Medical Association. William John MacDonald became a mayor of Victoria, then an MP, and then a senator. Of course, we were very proud of our famous Canadian painter and author, Emily Carr. I remember Emily as a little girl of 5, attending our church services every Sunday evening with her sisters. We loved and appreciated all members of our congregation. The people of this church serve the city as raisers of families, creators of homes, and teachers of children. They were merchants, bankers, editors, contractors, hoteliers, engineers, booksellers, and many more. In closing, thank you again for inviting me. Hopefully, I've given you some insight into life in early Victoria.
I'm sure you all know what is commonly called a grandfather's clock because they're tall and they stand on the floor, but they didn't always used to be known by that name. They were called a floor clock or a long case clock, but here's how they got their name. Over 100 years ago in Piercebridge, North Yorkshire, England, there was a quaint country lodge known as the George Hotel. It was managed by 2 bachelor brothers named Jenkins, who were also from England. In the lobby stood a floor clock, as they were called back in those days, that had been there for many years. One unusual characteristic on the old clock was that it kept very good time, and this was uncommon since in those days clocks were generally not noted for their accuracy. One day, one of the brothers died, and suddenly the old clock started losing time. At first, it lost 15 minutes a day, but when several clocksmiths gave up trying to repair it, it was losing more than an hour each day. The incurable problem became as talked about as its precision had been. Some said it was no surprise that, though fully wound, it stopped when the surviving brother died at the age of 90. The new manager of the hotel never attempted to have it repaired. He just left it standing there in a sunlit corner, its hands resting in the position they assumed the moment that the last brother died. In about 1875, an American songwriter named Henry Work happened to be staying at the George Hotel during a trip through England, and he was told the story of the old clock, and after seeing it for himself, he decided to compose a song about the fascinating coincidence that the clock stopped forever the moment the elder owner passed away. He came back to America and published the lyrics that sold over 1 million copies of sheet music about the grandfather clock. And it was the most popular song of the 1870s. So please join with us in the chorus.
slumbering. Tick-tock, tick-tock. It stopped short, never to go again when the old man died.
My grandfather said that of those we could hire not a servant so faithful we found. For it wasted no time and had but one desire at the close of each week to be bound. And it kept in its place, not a frown upon its face, and its rags never hung by its side. But it stopped short, never to go again when the old man died.
20 years without slumbering. Tick-tock, tick-tock. His life's seconds numbering. Tick-tock, tick-tock. It stopped short, never to go again when the old man died.
Oh, I do love those old songs. Not like the bong, bong, bong of today's music.
What? What? You almost knocked me out of the nest. Why are you waking me up?
I didn't want you to miss out on what is happening in our church. It's the 150th anniversary, and there's a big celebration.
Whatever. Okay, so what are they doing?
Ha! I knew you were curious about what the humans do.
Well, sometimes it gets boring doing our crow things, and humans are interesting. You just never know what they are going to do next.
And this is the perfect nest to watch them from, too. Right on the peak of the roof between the cross and the bell tower.
Yep, I like our nest spots. So what is this 150th anniversary all about?
The church is having a big celebration. There are pictures and artifacts to look at, and cake.
Cake? Did you say cake? Someone will bring a piece outside and I'll be ready. I hope it's chocolate, but vanilla's okay too.
Crows aren't supposed to eat cake. It's not good for our gullets.
Never mind, we're not supposed to have lived 150 years in a nest on the roof of a church. I still hope it's chocolate.
Look, they're starting the pictures. There's our church after it was built in 1876. The name was different too. It was called Our Lord's Church. There wasn't a church hall or even a bell in the bell tower.
Yep, it was pretty quiet in the nest then. They didn't get a bell until about 1900.
I remember the very first Sunday. Because we didn't have a bell, on the 16th of January in 1876, all the bells and all the other churches all over Victoria rang out just to welcome our church.
None of those buildings exist now, but we're still here.
And now we're a National Historic Site.
Look at how few buildings there are around our church. The wind used to howl around our nest then. Sometimes I thought we'd blow right off the roof.
Oh, I remember that day. It was 1877 when Sir James Douglas died, and that was his funeral.
There were more carriages than I'd ever seen.
I do miss his voice. He seems stiff. but he was secretly friendly, even to us crows.
Hey, there's the White Horse Saloon, just in the middle there on the right side.
They even closed the saloon out of respect for Sir James Douglas until after his funeral was over.
Shame it burnt down. Always good pickings from that saloon. The men dropped lots of tasty stuff.
There's the BC Protestant Orphans Home that opened in 1893. It was a big orphanage way up on Hillside Avenue and has been renamed the Cridge Center for the family.
I've never seen it, too far from my nest.
They provided a loving home for many children. Today they have all sorts of programs for families, newcomers, and seniors.
I used to see kids from the orphanage when they'd come to church.
The Cridges also brought them for summer picnics next door in Cridge Park.
I remember those picnics. Picnics are always good pickings.
Oh, that was a sad day for sure. Remember when Point Ellis Bridge collapsed and all those trapped people died? It was in 1896.
How could I forget? You could hear the crashing from our nest. The gulls were screaming and people were rushing to help out in any way they could.
Our church had so many funerals. The whole city was in mourning.
Good thing they built a new, stronger bridge. Do they still call it the Point Ellis Bridge?
That's its real name, but everyone calls it the Bay Street Bridge. Remember that day, May 9th, 1913?
I sure do. Bishop Cridge's funeral. He lived until he was 95.
He was a really good man and very friendly. When he died, there were over 100 flower arrangements sent to his funeral.
All the city flags flew at half-mast just for him.
There were so many people squished into our church. They had to strengthen the supports under the floor as they were concerned it would cave in. There are the troops from Victoria marching past the Empress Hotel and going off to fight in World War I.
There were 106 from our church.
We have their names on a plaque here from World War I and World War II, so we never forget them.
But remember our bell tolling when peace was declared on November 11th in 1918? It was a great day for sure.
That picture shows the original church hall, so it's after 1930.
The church hall sure gets used a lot.
True. Just think of all the activities that have happened there. All the meetings and music and church bazaars and strawberry teas.
Ah, those delicious strawberry teas. So now we're up to the present day.
You know, a lot has changed, but a lot has stayed the same.
Like what?
Well, remember the Cridge's aim was to build a church to worship and serve God?
But why do they need to worship? And what's this about serving God? God doesn't need anything. I'm just a crow, and even I know that.
True. But I think they serve God by serving others.
Oh, I get it. So when they serve other people, they are serving God. Is that also part of worship?
I think so. That's what the Cridges did. They never turned anyone away who needed help. So since the church began, people have gathered here to worship, learn about God, and to care for their community.
But what are they doing today? They aren't building hospitals or orphanages now, are they?
No, but they're doing different projects and supporting other groups. They see what the needs are, and then they come alongside to help. Like the Living Edge Market, providing groceries for people with lower incomes.
It's every Thursday in the hall.
Did you know they serve an average of 80 people a week with healthy food?
I see lots of people coming in with empty bags and leaving with full ones and big smiles.
And another need are the youth living on our streets. Since 2004, our church's basement has been home to the Sanctuary Youth Center.
Oh, I've seen the kids coming in. They have their own space and entrance and everything.
Yes, and it's a busy place. There are activities, hot food, showers, and a chance to relax or chat.
I love the smell of fresh cookies baking, too.
Our church also supports the Street Hope program to help homeless people downtown.
Really? What do they do?
One night a week, they give out homemade soup and sandwiches, warm clothing, and provide a listening ear.
But what about before Christmas?
Then they gave out over 200 pairs of warm socks, stuffed with goodies.
Oh, I know that group. It's the New Foundations program. They meet here every week.
You're getting more observant. Do you know what it's about?
Nope.
Well, it's an 8-month program that's been here since 2019. It's for new immigrants and especially those with kids. They work with them in their financial, life, and job skills.
Sounds important.
It is, because it helps them learn to adjust to living in Canada. Our church also supports the Blue Bus program with First Nations youth.
I've heard about that bus. It's very big and very blue.
They take the bus out to First Nations lands and hold activities for the youth. The First Nation elders invite them especially.
I'd like to see inside that bus, but I've never seen it here. Maybe it couldn't get parking.
Now here is our church today with all the tall buildings around it.
That was fun seeing all those photos.
I agree. It was a great tour of our beginnings to what is happening today.
But there weren't many pictures of the middle years.
True. But just think of how long the slideshow would be then.
There have been a lot of people coming through our church doors in 150 years.
Did you know another church also meets in our building?
You must be thinking about the Table community.
I am. And they have similar beliefs and hold their services every 2 weeks on Sunday afternoons.
So, do you think our church will be around another 150 years?
Oh, yes, for sure. People need places to gather together and worship God and learn about Him. And it provides a place where they can serve and be involved in the community.
You think we'll still be here?
Definitely. We'll be here, perched on our rooftop nest.
Good. Now I'm going back to my nap.
Thanks, Graham. Many of us have the impression that the song Amazing Grace was the result of a dramatic and sudden conversion from being slave trader to being a Christian, but that is not how it happened. John Newton was a very rebellious youth. He was picked up by a press gang and forced into the Royal Navy. He escaped from that and got himself into the Merchant Marine, rising through the ranks, and after a number of years became the captain of a slave trading ship. Life was wild and violent, and John Newton found himself in trouble a lot of the time, some of it caused by himself and some caused by others. His life was saved miraculously several times. But his relationship with God was complicated, long, tedious, full of setbacks, and it took a very long time for him to come to faith in God. His wife, Mary, never gave up on him. So eventually, when he gave his life to God, he gave that same energy he had given to his previous life to now serving him. He became known as a very good preacher and a man who took good care of his parishioners. In the parish of Olney, the people were very poor. They were lace makers and mostly illiterate. So to help them, he wrote a new song with each week's sermon and taught it to them in the services so that they could sing it during the week and better remember what they were being taught. January 1st, 1773, the whole town came together for a special New Year's Day service. The text for the sermon for that day was from the Old Testament, from the book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 17. The setting is that King David is nearing the end of his life, and he is remembering and recounting God's faithfulness to him over many years and looking forward, knowing God's promises to be true. So John Newton was inviting his parishioners and us to do what we often do at the beginning of the year or at 150th anniversary. We look back with gratitude at what God has done, and we look forward with confidence and hope to the future. So I invite you to sing this. Today we're going to sing the verses that John Newton wrote. There are other verses too, but today we'll sing those. So I invite you to stand. If sitting is better for you, that's good too. You don't have to stand.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I was lost, but now
Thank you for being here for our program. I invite you to, as many as possible in the hall, enjoy some coffee, tea, and sweets. And this program will repeat in approximately 30 minutes. So please feel free to look around at historical artifacts and enjoy yourselves. Again, thank you for coming to help us celebrate this weekend.